the Alabama national championship game. He went down there, got lots of team balls. By the time he got home to sell them, the market was already dry because all the fake ones were already online. And he spent thousands of dollars going down there and was pissed off because now he could only get a couple $100 for his footballs when they were going for $2,000 because he couldn't get home in time.
And then you said that's when shit hit the fan. What happened?
He discovered, I don't know how he discovered it, but one day he discovered that he can sign pretty much anybody that you ever want to. He can see somebody's signature and in about 2 tries do it perfectly. I've never seen anything like that before in my entire life.
Welcome to episode 3 of Operation Stolen Base, the true story behind one of the largest sports memorabilia fraud schemes of all time. My name is Johnny Chechitelli. It's December 2009, and somewhere in a truck between Alabama and Ohio is Cliff Panezich, his business partner Adam riding shotgun. They're heading back to Youngstown after hunting for autographs in Tuscaloosa. Was their trip a success? You could say that, but Cliff and Adam are holding on to a secret. Some of the signatures are real, and some are not. We'll take you back to that night in question. After he sees how easy forging signatures is for Adam, Cliff has a choice to make. Continue down the path where money is earned, or down the path where money is easy. Chapter 3. A team sport.
So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. You know, these balls, the value of these balls is greatly diminished without these key players. We're kind of sitting there in the hotel one night, and he just says he'll do it. Pulls out the Sharpie, and an hour later, it's done.
Did he say he had done this before?
It's funny that you ask because we had another deal where he had sold me a bunch of Ohio State autographs, Terrell Pryor and DeVere Posey. And I had paid him up front for these autographs because he was supposed to do a signing with them. And I kept pushing him like, where's my merchandise? And then finally he just gives in and gives it to me one day. Looking back, I believe that the Terrell Pryor autographs were all forgeries.
Were you nervous at all that you were going to get caught? Did anything cross your mind at all, or was it just, all right, let's get out of here?
At that moment in time, there was no guilt, no nerves about it, anything like that. I felt like, again, I was kind of rubbed the wrong way when I saw the one football sell for roughly $900 because it looked like a forgery. It looked bad to me. So that rubbed me the wrong way because I'm down there putting in the work, hustling, paying all these players out of my pocket. I think we were down there 6 or 7 days. I had enough at that point, so... once he kind of divulges his secret that he has this talent that he can sign these autographs, it becomes a conversation on the drive back to Ohio. We really developed this plan where, I had a bunch of memorabilia left over from the season. I'm going to drop all the stuff off at his apartment. He's going to sign all of it. I'm going to list it on an eBay account and sell it, and we're going to split the profit. And that's really where it started. Once it happened and once we crossed over the lines, I guess you could kind of say it was a point of no turning back. We took pretty much all our leftover memorabilia from the 2009 season. He signed all of it. I started a new eBay account in my mom's name. She knew I was opening a new eBay account, but she didn't know, anything about the operation or that any of this stuff wasn't authentic. And it all went on there.
And how'd you do on that?
So first set of auctions, I was about $4,000.
The falling out with Adam, what happened?
It was really just a dispute over the split of the money through those first auctions. He owed me some money from Alabama, honestly, from the payment of the players and everything like that. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like he got me on that Terrell Pryor deal. But trust and believe, before we kind of split our ways, like I had already kind of ventured down the realm of, can I do this? Can I sign any of these autographs? Once I practiced and was like, I could probably do this on my own, we never spoke again. I could sign an entire team signed football in under 2 minutes. I had memorized all the signatures, all the placement. I just used the same picture in every auction. I ran it every other day, made copies of it and shipped them out. No complaints, no returns. Sold 140. And I'm watching these auctions, and at that point it was kind of like, wow, like this shit's crazy. There's a lot of money to be made here real quick. That January, I made like $15,000. My first big operation was in February of 2010. I went down to Miami for the Super Bowl. You know, what changed now was not only was I going to get autographs, I was going to take pictures of guys signing autographs. So now that became more important to me than the autograph itself. Because if I have a proof picture of player XYZ signing an autograph and I can copy the signature, now I don't have one, now I have as many as I need to sell. I would come home, list the stuff on eBay, include a proof picture, let the auction run, sell the item, make a duplicate, send the duplicate, keep the real one.
You start growing and getting bigger and more sales. Does eBay care, or what goes on there?
You know, so eBay kind of polices itself. People can go on and report items if they think it's not authentic. So if enough people report it, they can pull an item for a trademark infringement. At this point in time in the eBay, I guess, timeline, I'm just running one eBay account. I still have my original account. Now, I had transitioned over from the account I opened in my mom's name. And I'm just full blown selling everything under my name on my original account that had been open since I was 18. You know, so it's a good standing account. And I'm just selling shit hand over fist, printing money for real. And one day I wake up and my account's suspended, so it's gone. So it goes from printing money hand over fist to I have no outs, I can't sell anything. I go straight back to my mom's account now that I wasn't using. Well, the two accounts get linked through IP addresses, they both get shut down. So now I'm frantic. Now I have no income, no money coming. I've probably already blown a bunch of the money I made in whatever, January, February, March.
With eBay starting to crack down on his existing accounts, Cliff is forced to significantly expand his operation. If he was playing small ball before, his fraud scheme is about to go major league. But first, he'd need to build his own team. That's where CJ McCormick comes in.
So I actually meet CJ at Mountaineer Casino playing poker at this casino in West Virginia, end up at the same poker table and kind of spark up a conversation because we're both from Youngstown. We exchanged numbers. CJ, he ended up running a home poker game and he invites me to some underground poker games back here in Youngstown. One night I ended up owing CJ. So I come back like 2 days later. At this point in time, he already kind of knew what I was doing. He knew I was selling fake autographs. So I come over on like a Monday to bring him the $200, $300, whatever it is. And I walk in and he's got 10 Buster Posey jerseys laying across the poker table. So I go to give him the money and he's like, hey, why don't you just sign these 10 jerseys for me real quick? What that tells me is I know he's got an eBay account that's operational. So this is where I kind of open the door. Hey, let's share the account. You do the listing, I'll do the shipping. You get 40% of the profit. So that's how he got into it. I remember the first real auctions we were dealing with was the national championship game, Oregon versus Auburn. Every time there's a championship game or a World Series or NBA Finals or Super Bowl, I'm just throwing shit on eBay from both teams. There's going to be a surge at the end of the game based on whoever wins, but I got both sides covered. So we're sitting there at BW3s watching the game, but I can see CJ over there hitting refresh on the phone every 5 seconds and his eyes lighting up every time these multiple items get bids and the money's just more and more and more and more. I kind of knew at that point there was no getting him back out of it. CJ McCormick actually, he becomes one of my best friends and ends up being really the second in command in this whole operation. CJ really thought it was kind of a joke, thought it was kind of funny, and it was a story he would tell at the bars. He would go out and get drunk, and I had to stop him multiple times, and he'd be like, hey, listen, this is how we make money. Watch, he can sign anybody's autograph. He, unbeknownst to me at the time, brought Chasin on because Chasin was living at his house.
Chasin Moore is a quiet, unassuming guy. He arrives to the halfway house where we're recording our interview with Cliff, dressed in a plain white t-shirt and sweaty from a long day of manual labor. He sheepishly shakes my hand and agrees to talk. Tell me in your own words, how the hell did this memorabilia thing start?
It's not crystal clear, but I could just remember seeing, I was living with the guy, and I could remember seeing him coming in with boxes full of jerseys, footballs, buckets of baseballs, stacks of photos, and kind of began to slowly see what was going on. You know, every day I'd take a drive over to Cliff's house, or Cliff would come over and stuff would be signed. At first, you know, I didn't like it, but I also had a very, very low paying job. And over time, you begin to get callous towards things. And I believe one night I was working at the Waffle House, and I worked like a 10-hour shift, and I made like $2. You know, making $2 and CJ saying something like, I have 200 items here that need shipped, ship them for me, and I'll pay you $100 or something along those lines is probably how I first got involved. At certain times I would list items for him. Here's X amount of dollars, you know, here's $1 per listing to list 50 items. At different times I would ship items for him. At different times I would drop them off at the post office.
But it beat the Waffle House, right?
Yeah. I could remember I worked a shift at the Waffle House, and I again made just a couple bucks, and the owner came in towards the end of my shift. I had like 45 minutes left, and I had some scruff on my face, and I said, you know, I'll be clean shaven tomorrow when I get here. He said, no, go home and shave now and come back. I went home and I shaved, and I didn't go back.
The scene of what it would look like was kind of comical. CJ would come over with big Tupperware Rubbermaid containers with 400, 500, 600 baseballs in them. You know, we kind of set up, it was almost like an assembly line down in my basement. Early on in operation back in 2010, eBay was very, lenient. Basically, it was open an account, sell as much as you want, as quick as you want, do your thing. Around 2011, they started implementing selling limits. You know, you would have a 100 item selling limit for the first, 2 or 3 months. Well, 100 items a month wasn't enough.
The amount of items being forged and sold continues to grow, and so does Cliff's team.
So Sean Pello, he was a college baseball player that I trained with. I recruit him to find me eBay accounts. You know, I would pay people hourly to kind of cut photos, do a little bit of listing for me. My mom took care of the shipping.
I probably started helping Cliff with just like bringing stuff to the post office. I shopped a little bit. If he needed a bucket of baseballs, I'd go get a bucket of baseballs or a football, whatever. I'd go down and help him pack up stuff, put it in the car and drop it off at the post office. So that was my involvement in it.
Chasin Lindsay, he's the one that got me into that first trip to PNC Park. You know, later on, he's a banker at Huntington Bank, so he made it to where we just kind of had signature sheets, had these people sign these signatures, and boom, an account gets opened.
What does somebody get for letting you open up a checking account?
$50 an account per month. Where we needed a full checking account and social security number, whatever, we probably offered more than the original $50, probably $100, anything like that.
And these people were just doing this for like $100. They're not thinking, you know, there's a checking account with my name on it.
Listen, you'd be surprised if you just went out on the sidewalk in a busy city and you're like, hey, I got $100 for a picture of your ID and your social security number. You'd be surprised how many people would probably give it to you. At first, we thought the PayPal account had to go to a checking account linked in their name. Come to find out that the banks never really released the name on the checking account back to PayPal. So once we found that out, all the checking accounts were in my name, CJ's name, Jason's name, my mother's name, anything like that. Even so, you still start to run out of people's names. Everybody's involved. Like I said, we went through 200-300 eBay accounts. You run out of people's names.
At first, we would use other people, and then eventually we would create 100% made up accounts. Cliff and CJ had figured out loopholes in the system and realized that with prepaid debit cards, with track phones, with bank accounts, you could open an account.
I'm just opening account after account after account. And what I'm doing is I'm just rotating accounts. So I'll sell 1 week on this account, next week on the next account. If one gets shut down, just replace it with another one. So what happens is I start pushing super high-end items on these accounts. The most ridiculous dual signed Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, dual signed basketballs, whatever you can imagine, team signed items. And the shit just sold and nobody asked questions.
Why do these things sell? Why do these ridiculous items just sell?
People assume that if it makes it to eBay, that eBay has vetted it and that it's authentic. And that's just not the case. eBay doesn't give a shit as long as they're getting their 10%. Rule of thumb across anything in life. If it's too good to be true, it probably is.
In a matter of months, Cliff has taken his side hustle to new levels. But it's important to remember why he's in the autograph business to begin with. To support himself while he continues chasing his childhood dream of playing Major League Baseball.
February or March of 2012, I had to go to Houston to a Pecos Spring League, which is a league I paid to play in.
So you're essentially paying out of your own pocket to play and keep your dream alive?
Right, which always leads to the business. So the financial aspects of it are always going to lead to the crime. But at this time, the operation's already running. So when I leave to go to Houston, we pack up shop and everybody goes with me.
CJ and I went down there ahead of them, I believe. We went to one place, and I remember it didn't work out for whatever reason. So we ended up getting another place. It was a furnished, 2-bedroom apartment right downtown Houston that the four of us lived in.
Yourself and who else?
Cliff, CJ, and a guy named Joey.
Tell me, who's Joey?
I don't really know. I don't know anything about Joey. I can't even tell you his last name.
Joey Cummings. Joey was just one of the guys that was met out at the bar nightlife scene. Really, he got involved close to the time I was about to leave for Houston to play ball because I knew I needed to take somebody with me to run my side of the operation. I knew CJ was coming, I knew Jason was coming, but they kind of worked in conjunction with each other. I needed somebody up under me to do a lot of the tedious eBay work, some of the listings, some of the shipping.
Originally, I was supposed to go down there and assist CJ. He was supposed to go down there and assist Cliff. And, he talked about he could cook and clean and do this stuff. Dude was the worst cook I've ever seen in my life. I believe one night Cliff asked him to make macaroni and cheese, box macaroni and cheese with milk. And I come in the kitchen, this dude's boiling the noodles in milk. Just did not know how to cook.
Why do you trust some of these people?
I don't even think I can answer that question.
So you're out there living with them. How long did you live with them?
Probably about a month or two.
What happened?
Well, during that time, that's when CJ and Cliff had a falling out.
At what point did you realize that CJ had a drug problem?
There were some times in town here, that we'd go out and we're going to the bars or whatever, and he might take a half a pill or something like that, which always made me feel uneasy watching somebody snort a pill. He claimed it wasn't bad, it's just to go out, anything like that. So, all right, that's whatever, do your thing. By the time we get to Houston, I see how bad it is. It's out of control.
When you say drug problem, what are we talking about?
Opiates.
How did they affect CJ as a person?
I saw it through all phases. He became more outgoing at one point, and then there were times where he almost like he had given up, and he would asked me to buy things off of him for very, very low amounts of money compared to the worth of the item. Just money was his driving force.
I only remember 2 times that CJ ever gave me any money. And both of these times I took the money and went and paid off a debt he owed to a local bookie. I fall out with CJ, and kind of squash the debt he owes me and cut him off. We can't do business anymore. I can't keep giving you this stuff. You don't pay me. I had cut him off. He owed me $18,000.
CJ got upset and said, fuck this, I'm driving back, or Cliff made him leave. That's when I got fully involved. I'm down in Texas, setting up accounts, listing items, selling the items, shipping the items, dealing with customers.
So basically, everything besides signing the balls.
100%, yeah. We were at that place in Houston for a couple months. I believe Cliff got picked up by a team in Santa Fe, and we ended up moving to Santa Fe.
So you go from Houston, you make it to Santa Fe. How long were you in Santa Fe?
A month, maybe. We were at a few different places. We were in, I believe, White Sands for a while. We were in Trinidad, Colorado. We were in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was kind of crazy because it was like the whole baseball team in a 15-passenger van and then us following them in a Escalade. I'd never done anything like that before, but there were a lot of bars. It was a lot of good times. Worked when we wanted. We would set up shop in hotels, get into the hotel, clear off a table, set up the printers, start signing, start printing. He's got a game to go play. We're setting up the printers to print 80 to 150 photos while we're at the game, or whatever we needed to do.
You're back in Youngstown. What happens next?
I move in with Cliff. We set everything up at his house, and we're still selling, still pumping the memorabilia out.
Now, does this culminate with kind of the end of Cliff's baseball career?
Yeah.
Up to this point, Cliff has spent his entire life chasing his dream. But not all dreams come true.
Before the surgery, I said I had some affiliated teams, the Phillies specifically, wanting to have a workout and everything. So in my mind, I'm like, hey, let me get healthy, and I'm there. I go through the rehab, get healthy, my shoulder's healthy, it doesn't hurt, I'm stronger, I'm in shape, go through the throwing rehab and regimen, and now I top out at about 81 miles an hour.
And what were you before?
I threw 90 as a catcher.
So after surgery and rehab, you lost 9 miles an hour.
Yeah. Before my injury, I'd go out on the field knowing I was one of the best players and could outperform anybody. At that point in time, I was 26, and I was just another one of the guys. I just didn't accept it. I just kept refusing to acknowledge that my body wouldn't let me do what my mind knew it could. Week by week, my stats just gradually trickled down and down and down to where I knew what it was, and eventually I retired that summer. I sat in the truck outside of the field and just cried for a while. And at that moment, I finally kind of accepted that was it.
It was hard for him to give up and realize that he wasn't going to be able to play anymore. We could see the change in Cliff, being not withdrawn, but a sadder attitude overall. I think he was happier when he was behind the plate. It was hard for me too, because I wanted to see him go all the way, of course. But I think Frank more because that was his dream along with Cliff's dream. I think it would have been around November of 2012 when he was done playing out in New Mexico, and he had come back to Ohio and said he wanted to move to Las Vegas. I think that's at that point we knew he wasn't going to be playing ball anymore.
You said you wanted to get out of Youngstown for a while. Why Vegas?
Geez, why Vegas? Why not Vegas? I'd taken a trip to Las Vegas when I was 26, and truth be told, just the fast life of Las Vegas, the bright lights, I fell in love with it and I felt at home. I was there for 2 days and I'd made a call home to my family like, hey, listen, I'm moving to Las Vegas.
And he was like, I'd really like to move there. Would you and Dad and Grandma move? And I'm like, well, I like Vegas and I like the weather. But I really didn't think my husband and my mother would go along with it. But they did. I don't think Frank really wanted to leave the area. I mean, he was, 60 years old and going to leave where he'd grown up. But none of us would have wanted to be without Cliff. So Cliff was coming. We were all coming with him.
Everybody in my immediate family was on board to come with me. My grandmother, my father, and my mother. So it ended up, I moved my whole family out to Las Vegas.
Cliff is drawn to Vegas like flies to the neon lights. He's a born gambler. Before he decided to make the move, you could always find him either across the state line at the casino in West Virginia or at a smoke-filled backroom poker game in Youngstown. It was there that he met Pete.
Early 2013, I meet Pete through local underground poker games. At that point in time, I'm playing in every big poker game in town. And typically, your standard 8 people sitting at the table are probably a couple older Italian white dudes with probably some mob ties somewhere along the way, a couple business owners, a couple of dope boys. Pete happens to be one of these dope boys. So somewhere along the line, Pete wants to get involved in my operation to make some extra cash. Really, I'm completely hands off. I don't have to do anything other than I purchased the memorabilia, I sign it for him, and I'm done with it. I ain't gonna worry about nothing, no kickbacks, no, it's just all money up front. Pete had his hands in various different, probably illegal activities, but he's also on Craigslist buying gift cards at a discount. Typically, he's probably buying these gift cards off some other drug users, drug addicts, whatever. So Pete here owes me roughly $800 on the books from a poker game one night. Comes over the next day, has the cash, but asks me if I want these $1,000 in Walmart gift cards instead of the cash. Walmart gift cards, $1,000 is where I'm buying all these baseballs, footballs, basketballs anyway. Make an extra $200, whatever. Fuck it, for real. I go to Walmart, walked out of Walmart with like $1,000 worth of merchandise. Come to find out later on, these gift cards were purchased off of stolen credit cards. Fast forward a little bit, I'm kind of already gone. I had left town, I had moved to Las Vegas. These stolen credit cards are recovered in a normal traffic stop in Canfield, Ohio. So the Canfield Police Department comes in, they run all the transactions. These stolen credit cards purchase these Walmart gift cards. They kind of go to Walmart, pull the surveillance footage. Now they have a picture of a guy walking out of Walmart with $1,000 worth of baseballs. They get my picture, and that's how they get my name on the investigation. That's going to lead to 14 months later, FBI agents and Canfield police detectives showing up at my front door, raiding my house.
On the next episode of Operation Stolen Base,
Here I am, little detective at Canfield, and I'm talking to the special agent. So I'm thinking something's about to kick off here. I got a call from the investigator, and she says, Brian, this is the largest domestic case of sports memorabilia in eBay history.
This episode of Operation Stolen Base was written by me, Johnny Chechitelli. Story editing, mixing, and sound design by Kevin Skubak. Produced by Vince Tornero and myself. Our theme song is Chasin by the Vindys.
That was an amazing podcast from an amazing podcast company in co-production with Wessler Media. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a review. It goes a long way in helping more people find the show.